ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app. Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of week for Tea Time Wagers with Brady Kannon at the CJ Cup, Byron Nelson. May 1st, 2024. We are 1/3 of the way through 2024. I just blink and it was January 1st. Blink again and it's May. And I think if I blink one more time, Brady, it's going to be the FedEx Cup, and we're going to be getting ready for football. First and foremost, a shout out to Noah Frank, our producer today. I couldn't be prouder for this gentleman. And of course, the star of this show, Mr. Brady Kannon. Welcome, sir.
Hey, good to be with you once again, Jeff. Always fun here to jump on the East Coast Sports Investors show and talk a little golf, of course. Weather's getting real nice. You mentioned it's May 1st. Weather's starting to get really nice out here in Las Vegas, and I've actually been playing a little golf myself for about the last month or so. And believe it or not, I actually am one who doesn't mind playing in the summertime out here. When we get those triple-digit temperatures, the tourists stay away and the golf courses aren't as crowded, understandably so. And that's when a lot of us locals like to get out and play. So I'm trying to tune my game up for the summertime.
I remember the stories, and actually last year when you were doing the podcast with Matt, and I enjoyed them every week, and just the thought, for going out into that heat and, first of all, trying to concentrate and play 18 holes and never mind the 110. And as we talked about backstage, even 115, it's got to be draining, Brady.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I actually did get heat stroke one time, nothing too serious, but I remember, feeling a little nauseous and lightheaded one time many, many years ago when I played in about 110-degree temperature. And that was pretty early during my, in the early years when I had gotten to Las Vegas. I wasn't, not aware of the situation, but, you become more educated as you go along. You have to drink a ton of water. You find the shade and that type of thing. It's not real wise to drink a lot of beer or anything like that, because that'll dehydrate you in a hurry. I always say 2 waters for every beer when you're out there on the golf course in the summertime. But I think the warmest I've ever played is about 111. I remember getting out of the car to play that day, and I went, whoa, this is real. This is going to be a challenge. But, kind of once you get into the swing of things, and you have to be used to it. I don't necessarily recommend diving into something like that if you're coming from, where you are in Cape Cod and trying to tackle a task like that. Mother Nature's for real. Whether it's the ocean, the mountains, the heat can jump up and grab you real quick too.
I want to go back to last weekend. It was the team event. It was a week for the PGA where they could breathe. There was no Scotty Scheffler. And I said this to Andrew on my last show. I haven't heard. They still haven't had the child yet, have they?
No, I have not seen any announcement. And I don't know. I assume they're keeping it relatively private and everything. But at the same time, I'm sure we'll know when it happens. And if you go back to the Masters, when they said his wife's due date was about 3 weeks away, that should put us right here about now. So I imagine it's truly any day now at this point.
Yeah, I'm just being that guy that's like counting the weeks till the PGA, the second major, and the world wants him there. We want to see him, perform and potentially win back-to-back majors.
Absolutely. And the bettors are running to the window betting on that as well. I spoke with a couple of different odds makers today. Prior to the Masters, he was 80-1 to win all 4 majors this year. after the Masters, he went down to 50-1. And after he won the RBC Heritage, he went down to 40-1. And they're not stopping. Apparently, they're still betting that. And what I understand, it's for the most part, all public recreational money. But it's interesting that people are, investing in that. And, it's kind of the simple logic that you can risk a little to win a lot. And I think that intrigues people.
Last weekend, the team event, and when the dust settled, it was a hell of a story. If I remember correctly, a week or two ago, you were on Lowry. He had started to heat up. And Rory McIlroy, the guy that I think gets more shit than anyone on this tour, he is stuck and stayed and defended this tour through the whole live thing. And the one major he can't win, everyone always really gives it to him, is at the Masters. He had no rhyme or reason playing this last weekend. Teams up with Lowry, and then again, big Sunday, and they end up winning.
I thought it was great for golf, Jeff. And you're right about Rory. And to see them really partying afterwards, and doing the karaoke with Journey. And I mean, that was just wonderful. And hats off to New Orleans as well for providing that atmosphere. And now, it was kind of a down event. Like you say, it's a breather. We're able to exhale a little bit after the Masters and a signature event in the RBC Heritage, and just more casual, have some fun in New Orleans, a team event. And from what I read, the guys really enjoy it. And I guess they make plans, a long ways ahead of time to pair up for this type of thing. They have conversations. Hey, you want to go team up in the Zurich Classic this year? And one of the funniest comments I saw afterwards was Rory McIlroy talking about how it came to fruition that he and Lowry were going to team up. And his words were, he called it a drunken lunch. After they had won the Ryder Cup, he and Lowry went out to have lunch and have a few drinks. And at that time decided, and I guess Rory invited Lowry, not the other way around, but Rory posed the invitation. Hey, let's go play in the team event. And, he said afterwards, we're going to be back next year. So that's really good for that event. And I think it's great for golf that the week didn't go by with some relative unknown winning that tournament. The fact that it was Rory and Lowry was a real boost, I think, for not only that event, but the PGA Tour and golf fans around the world.
So take us through last weekend like we usually do. I was watching it on Thursday and then Friday. You talked about the two different the best ball and then how do you word it?
Alternate shot.
Alternate shot. So after the first 2 days, Thursday and Friday, what did your eyes see going into Saturday?
Well, you know what, Jeff? It was really difficult because there's no shot link data. There's no strokes gained, and it's hard to even tell if you're not watching it on TV. It's hard to even tell who might have made the birdie or who hit it over here. There's just no tracking of it. So, not only pre-tournament was there a lot of guesswork, but there was after the fact too. So you just kind of do your best to see who's doing well. And, I came pretty close, I shouldn't say I cashed. I did not play any top 20 finishes last week. As we illustrated here on the show, we dumbed down the risk quite a bit last week because of all the guesswork that is involved in this type of tournament. But I did have 5 outright plays, and 2 of them finished top 20 and 1 missed by a shot. So, even though it's a very nebulous handicap, more so than a week to week, standard stroke play event, we still fared okay. Our best unit was Nick Taylor and Adam Hadwin, who I believe finished top 10, had a chance really on Sunday to make some noise. They did it last year here in New Orleans when they shot 63 in the alternate shot format and ended up finishing runner-up, but they could only muster a 1 under par 71 this last Sunday, and they really never made any noise on Sunday. But again, a fun event. Loved seeing Rory and Lowry win, and we'll try and get another one here at the Byron Nelson, where we did hit Jason Day last year.
And that was my lead in this week, the CJ Cup, the Byron Nelson. TPC Craig Ranch. So if my memory serves me correct, they go from New Orleans to Texas this week, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. McKinney, Texas, which is just about a half an hour north of Dallas. And, you do have some local flair. Will Zalatoris was in this field, a Dallas resident, and then he pulled out. But Jordan Spieth is here. And I imagine if Scotty Scheffler wasn't in the situation he's in currently, he'd probably be here too. But you've got, a lot of University of Texas alumni, Doug Gim, Siwoo Kim is a Dallas resident. So it seems like these Texas events always get a lot of local support from the tour players that either live there or were born and raised there or both.
You said, again, we did cash here last year with Jason Day. Thoughts of him defending before I turn this over to you? Thoughts of form and the opportunity of Mr. Day to defend here this week?
Well, it'd be nice to see him have a good week because he started off the year really well. He had a couple of top 10 finishes, including a top 10 at the Genesis Invitational, which is a very difficult golf course and a loaded signature event status field. And I liked him, after that, I took a little piece on him to win the Masters at 50-1 because the form was really good. And you figured, it might just keep getting better and he might peak when we get to Augusta National. But actually it went the other way. He's dropped off. So hopefully maybe this will get the juices flowing here, defending the title. That's not always the case. We saw John Rahm at the Masters and we talked about it on the show. It's tough for a defending champ. There's more commitments, there's more distractions, and we'll see how Jason Day responds. I'm a big Jason Day fan, and I hope he fares well here. He's a former PGA championship winner, the only major to his credit in 2015 at Whistling Straits. And of course, as you noted, that is just a couple of weeks away. We'll be in Kentucky at Valhalla Golf Club. So Jason Day, I hope he finds his form again here this week. I hope he doesn't win. I'm not on him this year, but I would like to see that form kind of regained and see him have a good PGA championship. He's a player that I always like to see do well. I'm a fan of him. And I think, when he's a real competitor against all these other big names like, Justin Thomas, Scheffler, Morikawa, you name it, when he's in that mix, that's good for golf. I think there's a lot of Jason Day fans out there.
Well, as I said, the CJ Cup, the Byron Nelson, TPC Craig Ranch. Usually what I do here is I turn it over to you to give the backdrop, the setup of the tournament, the thought process, and then, of course, your outrights.
Yeah, absolutely. TPC Craig Ranch, this will be the fourth consecutive year that they've held the Byron Nelson here at this course. I imagine it's here to stay for a while. TPC, of course, the network is owned by the PGA Tour, all those courses across the country. So that's a good thing, a nice relationship there to keep it here. And I think the players enjoy this course for the most part. It is a birdie fest. In the three prior events, your average winning score is better than 24.5 under par. I saw the number set this week was 23.5 under par. There is definitely some weather in the area. We've had rain in the area. The golf course has been softened up. You've got 4 straight days, if you look at the forecast, showers, rain, thunderstorms. Not a ton of wind, which is usually true in Texas. Supposed to blow a little bit on Thursday and then probably peak on Sunday. But, you talk about guesswork at the Zurich Classic. It's real guesswork this week as far as the weather's concerned. I mean, it almost looks inevitable that we're going to have some stoppages of play and some delays. You just cross your fingers and hope that's not the case. You also hope there's not a draw bias. Whether these players have the early-late start or the late-early start, you kind of hate to see it when one side really has an advantage. If you know it ahead of time, you can bet accordingly. But with the way the forecast looks and stoppages possibly coming, you just have no way of knowing how it's going to affect the field. It's a long golf course. It's over 7,400 yards, a par 71. You've got a lot of par 4s here that are in the 450 to 500 yard range. The fairways are very wide. There's not a lot of rough to speak of. The greens are bent grass. So, I think for the most part, not necessarily a bomber, but, shorter hitters can get it done here as well. But you want to be good off the tee and length doesn't hurt. Then you've got to be really good on long approach shots because you're going to have a lot of approach shots, from 175 to over 200 yards. And then you got to putt, because in a birdie fest, you got to hole a lot of putts, and you got to just keep pace in the track meet, so to speak. So you want, that's really what I looked at. Guys that are good off the tee, good long iron players, and guys that make a lot of birdies and have a hot putter. So that's where we went this week. As far as the correlated courses that, have similar layouts or require similar skill sets, I looked at Port Royal Golf Club, where they play the Bermuda Championship, Memorial Park in Houston, TPC Summerlin right here in Las Vegas, and the Detroit Golf Club, where they hold the Rocket Mortgage Classic over the summer. Also interesting to note, Texas, we typically get wind and whatnot. Bermuda, Las Vegas, and Houston, also, 3 locations where you usually have to battle the wind in addition to the golf course as well. And I mentioned the forecast here, looking pretty nasty, where we could definitely have some delays and whatnot. I imagine these guys will have to negotiate some wind this week. But if the rain keeps this golf course really soft, it's going to be target practice out there. It'll be more difficult with the conditions, but the golf course being soft, I still think you're probably going to get into the mid-20s as far as a winning score. I started this week, Jeff, with Alex Noren at 25-1. He's yet to miss a cut in 2024, and 6 times has finished top 25. He's number 1 in my research this week, number 1 on the correlated courses. He's finished top 5 in each of these venues, including a runner-up finish at the Bermuda Championship at Port Royal Golf Club. Over the last 36 rounds, he ranked 17th in this field for both strokes gained approach and strokes gained putting on bent grass. He's 6th on the long par 4s of 450 to 500 yards, and he's 8th for strokes gained on the par 5s. And this guy, not only spent a long time on the European tour, he also went to college at Oklahoma State. He is a very good wind player. Oklahoma State, no stranger to wind. Then I went with Benny On, Byung Hoon On at 30-1. He's my only selection this week, Jeff, who is not traditionally a great putter, but he does bomb it off the tee, and he is number 1 in this field over the last 36 rounds for birdies or better gained. So, let's hope the flat stick can get a little bit hot, but with bombing it off the tee and making a lot of birdies, that's certainly a good combination. And he's been in tremendous form this year. He started off in Hawaii, had a 4th place finish at Kapalua, lost in a playoff at the Sony. He's been good at the Arnold Palmer, good at the Genesis. So let's hope that continues here. Adam Schenk at 40-1. And this guy really, just in a bubble, you love the stats where he really excels. He is in the upper tier in this field for strokes gained off the tee on the long par 4s, and he's an excellent putter. Simple as that. I'll take strengths in those 3 areas right there. And he's got good form going this season, a 17th place in Phoenix, a 19th place at the Players Championship, a 5th last month at the Valero Texas Open, again, in the state of Texas. Maybe the wind and that type of thing is in his favor. And then he followed that up with a 12th place finish at the Masters. So Adam Schenk is a guy I like this week with the boxes that he checks and the form that he has going. And then I went to Mackenzie Hughes, who's kind of similar, got him the Canadian at 45-1. Over the last 36 rounds, he's 26th in this field on the par 4s of 450 to 500 yards. And he is 4th in strokes gained on the par 5s. And he's 14th in strokes gained putting. He's only missed 1 cut in 10 starts this season, and he's been inside the top 47 times, including a 3rd at the Valspar and a 14th in Houston, one of our correlated courses. And he was also 14th here last year at the Byron Nelson. And then my last selection, Maverick McNeely, resident here in Las Vegas at 55-1. He is also, like Mackenzie Hughes, only missed 1 cut this season in 10 stroke play event starts, with top 10 finishes both in Phoenix and the Players Championship. And he, like Schenk and Hughes, also top tier in the rankings for strokes gained off the tee in the field on the long par 4s, and actually number 2 in this field for strokes gained putting. He can really fill up the cut with the flat stick. And on the correlated courses, he's got top 10 finishes at TPC Summerlin and at the Rocket Mortgage at Detroit Golf Club, and 2 top 20 finishes at Memorial Park in Houston. So there you go. Maverick McNeely at 55-1, Mackenzie Hughes at 45, Shank at 40, Benny On at 30-1, and then Alex Noren at 25-1. 5 selections this week. And Jeff, I did go back to my traditional formula of playing each of these 5 outrights also for a top 20 finish.
I love where your eyes are. Our good buddy, Mr. Gaskell, said he's sprinkling a little on Mitchell, Noren, C. Woo, Kim, McNeely, Schmidt, and Ryan Moore himself.
Okay, yeah, I can't make an argument with any of those. The only thing I will say about Mitchell and Si Woo is I know they are getting a ton of action this week from a lot of public bettors. And there's probably some sharp action on them as well. Keith Mitchell seems like you lose your sharp card if you don't bet him every week. But I know that Mitchell and Si Woo are garnering a lot of recreational attention as well. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. The recreational money has gotten the cash the last couple of weeks with Lowry and McIlroy at the Zurich, and also Scotty Scheffler at the RBC. But whether it's sharp or public, I always get kind of a queasy feeling when I'm on somebody that's really popular. So that's all I can say about those two. Certainly no argument with the rest.
Shout out to Mr. Daniel Berry, Sports Highlights. Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to yourself as well. I love where your eyes are. I definitely will be backing these guys after this show for some outrights and, of course, top 20s. From there, we go to the head-to-head, sir.
Yeah, I just played 3 this week, and 2 of the guys are guys that I landed on for an outright win as well. Alex Noren at -118 over Tom Kim, and then Noren again at even money over Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth has just been really out of sorts. Now, in a relative home game for him here, could he show up and do well? I mean, he's Jordan Spieth, absolutely. But, this guy hasn't won in, I want to say it's over 2 years, right around 2 years. And, the form, again, has been very inconsistent. I really liked him going into the Masters after he finished 10th at the Valero Texas Open, and then he didn't fare too well at Augusta. It was really one big bad hole that kind of did him in there and forced him to miss the cut. But, we just haven't seen the Jordan Spieth we know and love in seemingly quite a while. And then Adam Schenk at -105 over Tom Hoge. Just 3 full tournament head-to-head matchups.
And as we talked backstage, and actually we talked earlier this week, and I want to thank you for sending us your plays so we could have Noah try to get some amazing graphics up there for us and all the people that are watching. There's a little dessert this week, I heard, as you might have a few live outrights this week.
Yeah, Sports Grid is now paying attention to the live circuit, and we're doing some coverage on that every week that they have in an event. And so, I've been handicapping these fields and trying to learn about these golf courses that they play. And of course, last week they were in Australia for Adelaide, and this week they're in Singapore. Their final tune-up for the guys that'll be playing in the PGA Championship on the live circuit. This will be their last tournament before that. And I've heard some people say, okay, it's time to jump on Brooks Koepka. He's gearing up for a major. But Koepka hasn't been in great form for a little while now, so I didn't land on him. But I found this really interesting, Jeff. This is the Sentosa Golf Club in Singapore. It's absolutely one of the best golf courses in the world. It's been rated that way in the past. It appears to be incredibly scenic. You've got water everywhere, views of like downtown, and it's just really something to behold. And a lot of people have high praise for this golf course. And so I started looking at some of the guys. It's been a regular stop on the European tour for many years, the Singapore Open. And some of the guys that have won this, I saw, Ian Poulter, Sergio Garcia, Adam Scott, and Matt Kuchar. And I went, okay, Scott, Sergio, Poulter. I said, this is a ball striker's course. Kuchar, obviously a very good short game, Poulter, a good short game, but that just screamed at me, okay, ball striker property. That's what we probably have on our hands here. And then I went, I kind of, connected the dots, and I went, Poulter, Sergio, Scott, and Kuchar. Those guys are all money at the Players Championship. Adam Scott, Matt Kuchar, and Sergio Garcia have all won the Players Championship. Ian Poulter's played the Players 18 times. He's made the cut 14 times, and he's finished runner-up twice. These guys are money at the Players. I'm like, this has to be a correlated course, TPCSawgrass, and which has a lot of water, by the way, and has a premium on accuracy and ball striking. So it made sense to me. And so I used that in my handicap this week. I was pretty chalky, except for one longer shot. The longest shot I took was Paul Casey at 38-1, who still to this day remains one of the premium ball strikers in the world. He is 7th on the LIV Tour in fairways hit, 2nd in scrambling, and number 1 in greens and regulation. And oh, by the way, in 2022 and 2021, his last 2 trips to the Players Championship, he's finished 3rd and 5th. So Paul Casey, I liked at 38-1. And then my next longest shot was Cameron Smith. He had to pull out of Doral, Miami with a little illness there, but he came back nicely at the Masters and played well in his home country of Australia last week. I got him at plus 1950. This guy has finished 17th at the Players Championship. Oh, and also won the Players Championship. So Cam Smith, number 1 on the LIV circuit in putting, 17th in scrambling. He was 8th at Mayakoba and 2nd in Hong Kong earlier this year. I like him to play well again this week. And then Bryson DeChambeau at 12-1. He's been to the Players Championship 3 times. He's never missed a cut, and his last trip there, he finished 3rd. We know this guy hammers the ball. He is definitely a ball striker. He's 1st in driving distance on the LIV circuit, 13th in scrambling, and 10th in greens and regulation. And in the 6 LIV tournaments so far this year, he's finished top 10 in 4 of them. So the form is there as well. And then I went all the way to the top of the board, Jeff. We typically don't do this. When we see a guy at about plus 650, I got him at plus 670, Jon Rahm. But we've talked about this before on the program as well. Plus 670 in a field of 54, when, let's be honest, maybe only 35 of these guys can really win this week. Plus 670 in a field of 35 isn't that bad. Jon Rahm in 6 LIV events this year has finished top 10 in every one of them. I have to feel a win is coming for this guy soon. He is still one of the very best players in the world. He is the very best player on the LIV circuit. And with 6 top 10s coming in, again, on a course that features ball striking, he's got the whole package, obviously. He's got driving distance, ball striking, short game, you name it. I feel a win is coming soon for Jon Rahm. By the way, he's finished 12th and 9th at the Players Championship. And in 2019, he led going into the final round and ultimately melted on the back 9, starting with the 11th hole, and victory eluded him. But the point is, he's played extremely well at the Players Championship as well. So there you go, a 4-pack for the LIV circuit. Again, pretty chalky with all but one choice: Jon Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau, Cameron Smith, and Paul Casey.
I love this format that we've done the last 2 weeks. You're giving out the outrights. This week we got outrights, top 20s, and I love the LIV action. And I enjoy watching you, at 6 o'clock, and then I'm the guy that goes back at 10 o'clock on Sports Grid and watches again. I feel honored and blessed to have you first, and then you go there, for your second and third helping. Wager Wire says, great insights from Brady, and they even ask a little funny question. Will Rory ever go to LIV? What odds does Brady give for that? Do they want to know?
I'd say that's probably about minus 5,000 to the no. There was a rumor that came out after the Masters that he was going, and everybody squashed that and said no. And now that I think hopefully we are getting closer and closer to some sort of coexistence. That makes that chance of him going even less, I would say. And especially after a win last week on the tour, that kind of puts a little juice in his veins going again. And I don't see it happening. It can't happen. That would be an absolute death blow to the tour. And I don't think he really wants to do it either.
I don't either. I'm a big fan. I know he's going to get his green jacket someday. There's no doubt about it. And again, he's great for golf. I'm glad he's stuck and stay. And listen, the guy is a rock star. If he's 34 years old, correct?
Correct.
You want to think that this guy's been here forever, and he's 34 years old. He's got another 10 years at least plus in his prime here. A lot of more majors. We need him here to stick and stay. Thank you so much, Wager Wire, for your question and obviously your compliment. Shout out to Brian and his lineup as well. Go get him on DK, and of course, Mr. Berry in the Sports Spotlights. The crawler's been going the whole time, Brady. They can follow you, obviously, on X at Las Vegas Golfer. But what I like to do here to close out the show, tell them where they can find all your work, Golf Bet, PGA, and, of course, where on the TV and Sports Grid.
Yeah, if you want to go back and read my article that I put out yesterday at golf.com, it's up there, analyzing this tournament and my picks. I write a column for them every week, and then a couple of columns for the PGA Tour, which you can also find under Golf Bet. Should have an article coming out there pretty soon where we get some insights from some bookmakers and what kind of action. I mentioned, the heavy action on Keith Mitchell and Siwoo Kim. That's how I found out about that, speaking with bookmakers. And that article can educate you on some of that stuff, where the money is going this week for the Byron Nelson. And then on Sports Grid, I'll be on there at 7:30 Eastern time. And then again at 10 p.m. Eastern time today. I'm on there about 5 or 6 days a week, not only talking golf, but talked a little NFL draft here recently. And of course, as we get closer to football season, I'll turn the page and do that as well. And you can find all those updates, like you said, Jeff, on my Twitter handle there at Las Vegas Golfer.
An amazing show that it's been. I didn't even keep you really for overtime this week, so we give you a little extra time before you can have to dive onto the grid. Before we wrap this up, where is the PGA next weekend?
It's a big event next weekend, a signature event, the final tournament before the next major, the PGA Championship, and that is Quail Hollow Golf Club in Charlotte, North Carolina for the Wells Fargo Championship. Always a dandy, a course that has held the PGA Championship before. So this is a real good test the week prior to going to Kentucky in Valhalla. Wyndham Clark, your defending champ, his very first PGA Tour victory, and all of a sudden the guy is one of the best players in the world now. So I'm sure he'll be an interesting guy to look at next week in your handicap, but it'll be a loaded field. We don't know yet. I would probably bet the no at this point if we're going to get Scotty Scheffler in the field. I'm sure he's determined to be at the PGA, but I would say that one is a little bit up in the air as well. We will see. It'll be a good, I think it's going to be a fun one this week. I like this golf course. I'm a guy that doesn't mind a birdie fest. I think it's fun. And next week we get real serious for the next 2 weeks with some big boy golf that's going to test these players to the fullest.
Well, it's been, I can't wait. We're getting closer. I'm smiling even ear to ear here when we hear majors. But we got some good golf this week. We got the Live as well. Next week, a signature event, as you said. And then the week after that, our second major. And the big question, will Scotty be there? I'm going 65-35. He'll be there. Hopefully everything goes well in the next week to 10 days to get him ready for that event. So with that, I want to say,
Jeff, real quick, if sorry to interrupt you there, for folks that are interested in the Live event, if they want to, tail their action or what have you, they are in Singapore, obviously, so they're across the date line. Now, typically a Live event goes Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which they will again. But for us here in the United States, that will start on Thursday evening. So some primetime golf, 6:30 out here in Las Vegas, 9:30 for you folks out on the East Coast.
Thank you for saying that too, because people would have woke up Friday morning and there would have been.
Oh, I can't get a bet in anymore.
Damn it. So I want a special shout out to Noah Frank. Amazing job. Thank you so much. Look forward to so much more this summer. If you want to go follow Brady, again, follow him obviously on Twitter at Las Vegas Golfer. Make sure you check him out at 7:30 and 10 o'clock tonight on Sports Grid. And then you can follow myself at EC Sports Invest again on the Twitter. So everyone have a great evening. Special thanks again to Daniel, Brian, and WagerWire. Thank you so much for all your support. And we will see you guys soon.